This is the 10th video presentation for the CASE Natural Resources and Ecology course. As you view this video, be sure to make notes of important information. Feel free to pause, repeat, and resume this video whenever necessary. Succession time, Lesson 6.1, All Natural Flora. You have completed a survey of an ecosystem during Project 6.1.2. This presentation provides information about how communities within ecosystems change over time and the forces that cause these changes. Succession is the progressive development of vegetation towards its highest ecological expression, the climax. Succession can be described as the replacement of one plant community by another. However, soil conditions, climate, permafrost, topography, and natural and unnatural forces may affect the pattern of succession. Plant communities respond to the disturbances in the ecosystem. A succession may start as the result of one of many different types of disturbances. Naturally occurring events include earthquakes, tidal waves, volcanic eruptions, the movement of glaciers, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, wildfires, and even the sudden infestation of insects. Human causes include land development for business, industry, homes, and agricultural uses, as well as damage from explosions on military lands or battlefields. Primary succession occurs where no ecosystem has previously existed. The 1981 eruption of Mount St. Helens in Washington provided an example of primary succession. After the eruption, the old ecosystem was completely decimated. New parent material had to be broken down into soil in order to support an ecosystem. Over time, a variety of organisms and plants were able to begin to thrive and build soil organic matter. As these organisms modify the site further, they will eventually be replaced by other organisms, better adapted to the new conditions. Secondary succession occurs much more rapidly because soil does not need to be created. It already contains nutrients and sometimes even seeds and other organisms. These changes can be categorized according to whether the cause was abiotic or biotic in nature. Allogenic causes include changes in the environmental conditions, such as a salt marsh becoming a woodlawn. The environmental changes the composition of the plant community. Autogenic causes include plants changing the environment. For example, when larger species like trees mature, they shade the developing forest floor. This selects against species that require full light. Shade-tolerant species will invade the area, changing the plant community. The transition stages are named based on the main type of plant dominating each particular stage. To get to the climax community, the four following stages often occur: herb, shrub, young forest, and mature forest. The climax stage represents the culminating stage in the plant succession for a given set of environmental conditions. At climax, vegetation is in equilibrium with the environment, and the dominant plant species is self-perpetuating. This stage is also considered cyclical, depending on the dominant plant. Plant succession must begin with barren terrain, where organisms known as pioneers or soil builders start to form the organic soil needed in order for plants from the next stage to flourish. Herbs, lichens, and mosses exemplify this stage by forming a foundation for the remaining stages. The next group to move in are annual weeds and grasses. These plants are characterized by their rapid maturity and production of small, easily dispersed seeds. Shrubs and perennials shortly overtake the annual plants. These plants have the ability to reproduce several times during their longer lifespans. This is an important stage not only to the development of plants and trees themselves, but to wildlife as well. Fruit-producing plants begin to grow during this stage, providing wildlife a source of food. The next stage in succession is characterized by young trees less than 50 years in age. In a forest, these species might include aspen, alder, willow, pine, and birch trees. During this stage, the young trees begin to form a canopy, shielding smaller plants from direct sunlight they require. Shrubs and perennials that are able to adapt in the new low-light conditions will dominate the forest floor. These conditions allow for the growth of hardwood trees, which make up the next stage in succession. Hardwood saplings, herbs, mosses, lichens, and small shrubs begin to grow in the canopy openings. Trees such as maples, hemlock, hickory, beech, spruce, oaks, and pines reach maturity. Decaying tree trunks and trees laying on the forest floor provide food and shelter for many organisms. When undisturbed, this mature forest will remain the same for long periods of time. If disturbed, succession may be set back, and then restart from that point. Some late or mature trees include spruce firs, hemlocks, pines, and oaks. As a review, mark or highlight 3 key points in your notes that are important to remember from this presentation. List 2 ideas or concepts that relate to previous knowledge. List any questions that you have about this topic. Discuss these questions with your instructor. Keep any notes you have from this presentation organized and available for use throughout the course. Throughout Activity 6.1.3, Ecological Succession, you will simulate the process of vegetative succession by a role-playing game in order to understand how plant populations shift in response to the changes in the environment. Your teacher will organize the class into groups and distribute the games and instructions.